From high fire danger to high snow totals, buckle up, Colorado. We're in for a wild ride on the weather roller coaster.
Tonight I'm going to show you where we see the highest threat for fires on Thursday and which areas could see up to 2 feet of snow by the end of the weekend.
Longer wildfire seasons taking their toll on firefighters.
Empathy and compassion are two of the greatest strengths that we bring to the job, but those are pathways for injury.
Where firefighters are turning for help as they face burnout and fatigue.
A brutal day on Wall Street. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P all close with big losses.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and investors hate uncertainty. It's like kryptonite.
Tonight, we're taking a closer look at how one company's troubling report could cause such a plunge.
Fire and ice in Colorado. As crews battle multiple fires across the state, Coloradans are also bracing for a brief return to winter.
So let's start with those fires burning across our state. In south central Colorado, the Plum Top fire near Pagosa Springs, that one remains at 0% containment. And this fire ignited Tuesday quickly grew in size. And tonight, we know more than 700 acres have burned so far.
All right, moving north to Teller County, where crews have been battling the High Park fire near Cripple Creek for nearly a week now. They have made some progress, though. The nearly 1,600-acre blaze is now 87% contained, and this morning, evacuation orders were lifted.
Meanwhile, lightning ignited this grass fire near the entrance to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. And just minutes ago, park officials said the fire had grown to 306 acres. The good news is it is 80% contained, and inbound traffic to the park had been closed for several hours and now has reopened.
All right, that's the fire. Now the ice. Take a look at this graphic. This is from the National Weather Service. From tomorrow night through Sunday morning, Denver could see between 2 and 8 inches of snow. Some places further west could see even more than that. Spots near the Eisenhower Tunnel are looking at perhaps up to 20 inches of snow.
So as we mentioned, these next couple of days, well, shaping up to be a wild ride.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson is tracking it all. So let's start with the fire threat first tomorrow, Mike.
Okay, these are the highs today. Tomorrow is going to be even hotter than that. And for that reason, we have the fire weather warnings covering all the areas you see here in pink for tomorrow. Let's zoom in on the Front Range. We are under fire weather warnings. Denver and the I-25 corridor all the way out into Kansas and southwestern Nebraska. Now, let's go to the winter side of it. Winter storm watch in effect for Friday, including the Denver area. Winter weather advisory, mountains farther to the west out toward the Steamboat area. And the cause of it all? This cold front. Ahead of it, we're going to have gusty southwest winds coming in for tomorrow. Behind it, we get the strong, cold north winds that will produce the snow and maybe a lot of moisture, perhaps over an inch of liquid here in the Denver area. So windy, hot, and dry for tomorrow. Rain changing to snow, not only the mountains, but down here on the plains as well. And by Saturday morning, we are below freezing in the metro area and across much of northeast Colorado. Heavy mountain snow is expected, central and northern mountains, for Friday and Saturday. Just how much snow and how low we'll go, I'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Oh, yes, we will talk. Thank you, Mike. So the longer wildfire seasons that are now becoming the norm are taking their toll on the brave Coloradans tasked with putting them out.
And tonight, Denver 7's Colette Bordelon shows us where firefighters are turning to as they battle fire and burnout.
This job was just a natural draw for me.
A job that's a way of life.
Yeah, this is our house. Welcome.
And a place where the people make the hard days a little easier.
The other reason why I really want to be a firefighter is that we get to cook.
The dinner's part of what kept Lieutenant Tyler Capron around for so long.
It's been a night and day difference in 15 years, and it's only getting better.
But the change he's talking about is what he's most proud of.
Early on, it was not as easy to talk about maybe calls that affected me. I was lucky that I had a lot of really good mentors here to kind of see that if I wasn't okay, to pull me aside and just to check in.
He's one of the leads of a peer support group with the department, designed to make sure firefighters can get the help they may need.
It's one thing to say that I'm here for you. It's another to feel that support.
When someone consistently puts their own needs second, it can lead to things like anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
Arguably, empathy and compassion are two of the greatest strengths that we bring to the job, but those are pathways for injury.
Rhonda Kelly, the founder of Responder Strong, says we should care every day because first responders show up for us every day.
Really didn't get a chance to take any breaks. It was from about 10 o'clock on until our end of shift at 6 o'clock that evening, nonstop.
Rob Schimler, a Boulder dispatcher, was one of the calm voices on the other end of the phone during the Marshall fire.
I try not to hang on to these things. I can say that when I got home that night, I was thinking of a few calls that I took.
Thanks to healthy outlets he has, many stressors don't stay with him. But in a survey, 4 out of 5 dispatcher respondents reported at least moderate secondary trauma symptoms.
Normally we don't eat like this, but we're doing steak and potatoes tonight.
These jobs come with challenges, but rewarding is another word that comes to mind.
It's okay not to be okay. It isn't okay not to reach out, though.
Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
And if you or a loved one are a first responder struggling with mental health, there are resources to help. The Emergency Responder Crisis Text Line is free, confidential service. It's available 24/7 for all emergency responders. Just text the word badge to 741-741. You can see the information right there on your screen.
Some forced smiles at the closing bell today as all 3 major indexes closed with big losses. The Dow losing 3.6%, the Nasdaq down 4.7%, the S&P dropping 4%. All of this triggered in part by Target's latest earnings report showing the company lost a quarter of its value, stoking fears over how inflation is impacting consumers. And the trouble on Wall Street is being mirrored over in Asia. Stocks in Hong Kong and Japan each fell more than 2% during morning trading.
All right, so why Target, the company? How does one company's poor performance have such an impact on the market?
Denver 7's Rob Harris talked with an expert about how this happens and what it means for younger investors.
I'm standing outside a Target store, what some economic experts are calling the canary in the coal mine for our economy, and why your 401k probably had a pretty rough day.
Why? Because the U.S. economy is made up of 70% consumer spending. So they feel it first when consumers start to pull back.
This is Caleb Silver. He's editor-in-chief for Investopedia, an online publication that teaches readers the ins and outs of investing and the market.
And what Target was telling us today and what Walmart was telling us yesterday is that inflation is eating away into consumer spending. So consumers are going less to these stores and they're buying less every time they go. And if Target and Walmart are telling us this, you can expect that to be across the entire retail sector.
In other words, our spending at stores like Target and Walmart give economists a gauge on how we're all feeling about the economy. And the overall reading is we're tightening our purse strings. More of us notice changes in the stock market now too, not only through our 401ks, but through stock trading apps like Robinhood and Public, which saw big increases during the pandemic. So those who are close to retirement could be hurting from this market hit. But Silver says for others, this presents an opportunity.
For new investors who joined the stock market in the last couple of years, this is your first real bear market. We had a very small one in March of 2020, but this is your first experience in intense volatility and dancing around a bear market, and that can be very scary. On the other hand, you got to realize that these are features of the stock market, not bugs. So if you have a long-term time horizon and you're a younger investor, you love pullbacks like this. Why? Because you can buy stocks at a discount and you can dollar cost average your way in and really strengthen and build your portfolio.
Silver says it's important to remember that the stock market and the economy are not the same thing. He calls them distant cousins of one another. And that's why time is your friend with investing, and emotions can be your enemy.
The economy is going to go through its dips and its cycles and its peaks. You just have to stick with it over time as an investor and you look at the wealth you've been able to create.
For Denver 7, I'm Rob Harris.
Okay, so what about investors nearing retirement? What should they be doing right now? Let's take a look. Silver tells us that if you are near or in retirement, you need to preserve capital, even if that means selling some of your stocks at a loss. And we should be clear here, this does not mean you should sell off all your stocks. Silver says the market is expected to be up and down for the foreseeable future, so you should only sell enough stock to cover 6 months to 1 year of living expenses.
And Arapahoe County coach is in jail tonight, accused of sexually assaulting a child. And tonight, investigators believe there could be more victims. The Arapahoe County Sheriff says a victim came forward late last year reporting that Eric Oldham behaved inappropriately with an athlete. Oldham is a former owner of A+ Athletics in Centennial. Tonight, booked on charges of sexual assault, unlawful sexual contact, and enticement of a child. Anyone with information about Oldham is urged to contact Arapahoe County investigators. A ceremony was held today to honor the officers and agencies that responded to the mass murder spread throughout Denver and Lakewood last year. And one of those honored today, Lakewood agent Ashley Ferris, who killed the gunman after he shot her in the stomach. That gunman killed 5 people and injured 3 others. The bullet struck a nerve and temporarily paralyzed Ferris's right leg. But good news, she's walking again. She says she's walking even without a limp. And soon she will be running again and therefore back on patrol.
Other people lost their lives and I didn't. I was fortunate and I have nothing to complain about. So emotionally, I think I'm doing great. I just can't wait to be back to work.
And Ferris will return to work Monday on desk duty for now.
And relief could come soon for anxious parents stocking grocery store shelves in search of baby formula. Late today, the president announced he was invoking the Defense Production Act to address the widespread shortage and to get ingredients to manufacturers to help speed up production. The president is also launching Operation Fly Formula. That's directing Department of Defense commercial aircraft to pick up infant formula overseas that meets U.S. health requirements and bring it back to the U.S. while U.S. manufacturers ramp up production.
I've directed my team to do everything possible to ensure there's enough safe baby formula and that it's quickly reaching families that need it the most.
The Abbott plant that makes specialized formulas for kids may reopen in 2 weeks after an agreement with the FDA, but it would still take up to 2 more months to get their products onto shelves.
Driving without using hands or feet.
It's unbelievable, like the speed. It's intense.
Amazing new technology giving this driver a renewed sense of independence.
And the Broncos don't play the Cowboys this year. Find out why America's team is coming to Denver anyway.
I'll focus on which areas will see the worst of the fire conditions tomorrow and the heaviest snow on Friday.